Okay, well, we're delighted to have you here today for our June Seniors Living Smarter seminar about finding purpose. Now, the interesting part is, of course, the people who come, it's kind of like talking to the choir. You're the people who live life with purpose, but that's great. When we started the seminars this January, we did one about secrets of longevity. And, we did, a lot of you know, remember we talked about, or a lot of you knew about the blue zones research, the pockets around the world where there are an unusually high number of centenarians, and what can we learn from that? And we did an overview, and we had panelists that day to help us think about our diets, nutrition, about fitness, staying engaged, but we wanted to circle back and talk more in depth about purpose and engagement. So that's what we're about today. And you're going to, I hope, leave all motivated to do all kinds of fun things. So I want to see, I know we do have some new people. Could you raise your hand? Okay. And some people are too shy to raise their hands. That's okay. So, just like in church, be sure to welcome our new friends and so on. Okay, for those of you who I have not met, I'm Virginia Lazenby. I'm the founder and host of these seminars. I am a senior downsizing coach and realtor. We've been doing the seminars for 9 years. And just because of the need for people to have information. And so it's been fun. Some of you have been here for a long time. That's great, many years. Some of you are new. We welcome you too. And out there, still working, is Brielle Gard, my amazing operations manager, whatever title we want to give her, lifesaver and more. So be sure to thank Brielle for not only the setup and keeping track and all of that, but the motivation and what a great sounding board is. Brielle, should we do it this way or that way? And we work together on that, so that's great. So I want to just very briefly, I'm not going to give their whole stories, but you can pay attention to who our educational partners are. We have some who could not be here. But the educational partners help make these seminars possible. And it's not just, I want to be a partner and you can show up. We really want to have people at these tables who know the importance of people having information. The purpose of our seminars is to educate, equip, and inspire seniors to make informed choices and empowered decisions. And I had a great conversation briefly with someone this morning. She said, I'm telling my daughter this, and my daughter wants to learn about this. That's great. So, we want you to stay in charge, and, lots of decisions to be made, but you need information. Our partners are here to share information with you. Now, you will say, oh, but I don't need any home care now. I'm just fine. I got it. But you know what? When you do if you should need home care, that's not the time to go figure it out. You need to know ahead of time. And in your notebook, there are places for you to write down, who would I like? And go visit and learn about that and communities and so on. So I'm going to start over here, Mandy Hastings from the Oscar. You'll be hearing more from Mandy a little bit later. Then next table, visiting angels. So Stacy, and I've forgotten your partner's name. Okay, good. Speaking of, if you need home care, there's one of our great sources there. Thrive Mortgage, Lori Anderson and her son Blake. I know she doesn't look old enough for Blake to be her son, but that's what they tell me. Thrive Mortgage has been a great supporter, if you want to know, especially for our population here. If you should ever want to consider a reverse mortgage, they're a good possibility. And very committed to sharing information, so you make decisions. Josie Zamora with Care Partner to Caregiver with her pretty purple balloons today. And a special shout out to Josie for her involvement with the Alzheimer's Association. And this is Alzheimer's Month. So she has her purple balloons to call attention to that, and her purple pens. And, we are just more and more people affected by that. I just had a sad call this weekend, a gentleman who had really declined very quickly. No power of attorney in place. Just, it's, folks, you got to be prepared. So, next table where there is not a person, because I'm the person, Seniors Living Smarter Services. That's our downsizing business. I am a realtor. I also have a downsizing business, so we can support you through the whole process. Come visit more about that. We also have a fun downsizing club for those who are maybe someday maybe going to downsize. And there's a lot of stuff some of us have to be thinking about. So anyway, we meet monthly. There's information about that. Penny Leone is one of our presenters today, an RN and parish life nurse, I think it is, at First Presbyterian. You used to see Penny regularly for those of us who were back before COVID when we were at First Presbyterian. But parking's a challenge, so we found a new home. Bob Staten, we're going to hear more from Bob in just a while. From Georgetown Parks and Recreation, the senior coordinator of senior activities, or some title similar to that. Linda Lisby is with Silverado Hospice. Again, I don't need hospice. You need to know about hospice. Hospice is one of those things, there are so many misunderstandings, so go visit and learn. Next, we have Evan Ransom with Golden Home Management. And this is really a unique company that he has started and wanting it to expand, and kind of a subscription service to keep your home in good condition. And check with him. He's been on our panel before about aging in place. And, and part of his commitment, because his commitment to this really comes from, I think it was your grandmother, or working with seniors and going, they really don't need to be up on the ladders changing light bulbs or filters, or doing other things that some people do that maybe shouldn't be doing right now. So go visit with Evan. We have another home care program, Dr. Ash Biss with Comfort Care, and wonderful, they go, well, yeah, you've got 2 or 3 of those. I do, because everybody's different. And go visit about their program. Ash has been on our panels before, so visit with her. Then we have Margot Hayes from the Delaney, and she's going to be up here in a while too. So I think I got all of those. Okay, I'm going to let you all take your seats, and you should have gotten your handouts. And so I'm so proud of you for people bring your binders each month and add to them. And when someone would say, I go home and I really use those resources, that's the idea. And you can add your own personal touches to those as well. This month, if you read the ad in the paper, and I think I'm right, if you read your postcard that did not arrive, we sent them in extra early. So when you get a postcard about the seminar coming up on finding purpose at any age, you've already been to that seminar. Let's just say there have been some words exchanged about that. But anyway, part of it was about interactive. This is going to, we share a lot of information to seminars. This month, we want you to be a little more engaged, and you'll see in a variety of ways. So in your packet, of course, for each month, you have the cover sheet that you pick up there, and then it lists our presenters we'll introduce in a minute. And then we're going to highlight some of these materials as we go through. But I want you to pull out or look at the little sheet with the cute little Post-it notes on it. Okay, so these are interesting, fun quotes about purpose and all. So I'm going to be brave, and you all can do this. You're risk takers. You wouldn't even be here if you weren't a risk taker. I want you to read over these, and then which one really speaks to you? Then turn to someone near you In front, behind, side, maybe someone you know, someone you don't know. But you're going to talk, and you're going to talk about these. Which one really grabs you? And then we're going to hear from some of our groups. So are you ready? You're brave. You can do it. You can read through these. And this is where we need to be videoing the audience, because I know what's going to happen. Because when Brielle put this together for me, and I start reading, and they're kind of chuckles, and they're like, ooh, yeah. So anyway, take a minute and read. We'll give you a moment of silence here. Okay, so now can you find a partner or partners nearby? And if you don't know your new neighbor or your new friend here, introduce yourself and talk about what one really grabbed you. We're going to give you just a couple minutes for a quick visit, okay? Go. Oh, yeah, was it Joan Rivers? Talk amongst yourselves. But this is directed talk. You're going to talk about these, okay? I need to hear talking. Let's focus back. I know it's hard to get you to talk, that it's hard to get you back. And someone just said, yeah, but I want to hear the panel. You're going to hear the panel. This is that get you activated for the panel. And the other part is you can all be panelists. We've got great resources right here. There are wonderful stories that people could share. So, we'll do that. But okay, let's see if we've got some brave souls. Who wants to report back from their group? Let's just do very few of these. Any group have an interesting conversation or a conversation? Oh, come on, people. We can't move on until I hear from some group. Oh, yeah, good. Thank you. Brielle's going to help here.
Any twinkles in your wrinkles?
Ah, the favorite one. Yes. Anyway, here we go. Thank you.
I don't mind being first.
Yay.
We kind of like the one, the purpose of life is a life of purpose. I mean, how true is that right there? If you get up every day and you don't have something to think about or something to worry about, maybe even, then that's boring. I think it keeps you young to have all of these.
Okay, we can adjourn now. She just made our point. And isn't it, it's about attitude, too. Some people go, blah, blah, blah. Some people may have those same aches and pains. But I got to go, help somebody get through the cafeteria line. I've got to, whatever it might be. So, purpose, overall, very important. Do we have anybody else? Okay, Linda, come here. Linda's she got volunteered.
I live in neighborhood 31 in Sun City, and I have a very determined gal in our neighborhood who is doing this very thing. What is your purpose? And she decided I was too down in the dumps lately, and I'm a retired reading teacher, and I have a collection of amazing pop-up books. And when I showed them to this gal, which I regret now, she said, "Oh, I think we need to do this for my next ladies' luncheon." So she had about 30 people at her luncheon, and I presented what I would have to a group of teachers. I used to teach in Virginia, and I spoke at the Virginia State Reading Association and helped many teachers engage the reluctant reader. And this was by making these pop-up books. And I thought, oh, no one's going to like this. But everybody really was just totally absorbed and fascinated. And I had a real spring to my step for a couple of weeks.
Look at that. You know, something that she was passionate about, probably haven't shared it in a wider audience in a long time. I'm a former reading teacher too, love children's literature. And so how affirming that was to you and to other people. Thanks so much for sharing, Linda. Okay. Oh, there it is. Oh, I thought you were going to G-Pop's driving school, but it's not. Grandparents can do driving instruction for grandkids. That's Brielle's family right now. Okay.
I never miss an opportunity to talk. But I've talked to her all the way over here on the cars, so I looked back here and I saw a couple of ladies who were sitting by themselves, and I went back and said, which one's your favorite? Well, we didn't have a favorite. We like them all. But I just think it's really important, like other people have said, have a great attitude. And if you've got that, you've got power.
There you go. Panelists, I'm sorry, we don't need you today. We're just going to use our... We have it right here. That's great. Okay, I'm going to have you all come up. So thanks for sharing. So as we tune in and think more about purpose and engagement, the hot seats for you.
Sorry, Penny.
So here we go. How many of you think, yeah, I think I want to feel a little better physically, but I really don't want to go to all my training in physical therapy? How many of you said, what's the easy fix for kind of feeling more motivated? Would you like to have ideas for that? I think most of us would, especially when I said not having to go to therapy or the gym. What about, I wish my mind thought a little faster like it used to. I can't remember names sometimes. Any of us want to see if we can improve along those lines? Yep, we got that one. Some of us are going, I'm down in the dumps. I need something to cheer me up. How many of you want to get that? Yeah, it's attitude, and we're going to be talking about that. And like I said, our first seminar this year, Secrets of Longevity. But people always, when we do those, people say, but I don't, if I'm not feeling good, I don't want to live longer. Okay, well, let's live longer with quality of life. So here we are to share thoughts about that. We've got a great panel to help us with this. But you've got great ideas too, so we will be hearing from you all periodically. So with our esteemed panel, if you will introduce yourselves.
I'm Penny Leone. I'm a registered nurse, and I have worked for 27 years at First Presbyterian Church as the parish nurse, but I've also, of course, anybody that's a nurse out there or medical knows that you pay your dues. So I've worked acute care and industrial and all kinds of different ways. But now all I'm doing is working for First Pres.
We kidnap her to help us out.
Hi, I'm Margot Hayes, and I'm with the Delaney at Georgetown Village, and I have been in senior care for almost 20 years.
So you would have lots of stories about
Yes.
seniors. All of our panelists do.
Hello? It's on. I'm Mandy Hastings, and I am the Sales and Marketing Director for the Oscar. I have worked in senior living for 25, did I say? Yeah, I've worked in senior living for 25 years. Started off in Dallas, and then I have been in Georgetown for about 21 years. So know the area. and I love what I do, and have definitely helped thousands of seniors move into our retirement communities, and definitely seen the impact that it has made on folks' lives. Even my parents, they just moved this year, so I got some stories there.
So
Good thing they're not in the audience.
I want to say, no, they're not trying to sell their communities. What they are wanting to make people aware of is lifestyle wherever you may be. So, but they do work with a lot of seniors, so they are great resources and can have stories to share, as well as Penny. Okay, I want to start with a kind of general question. So I know you could go on forever. You may get the cut it off sign, but so people will get a feel for you and what's important to you. Could you share an example of where you've seen seniors engaging in meaningful activities that really made an impact on their lives? You want to start, Penny?
I didn't know I couldn't do more than one.
Well, this one everybody's doing.
Okay, all right. So my number one is Jenny Carswell. I don't know how many of you know her, but she started working as a pastoral care assistant in 17 years ago. I'm terrible with math. But anyhow, she now has moved to a community in Dallas to be closer to her family. But she would say to me, I'd say, well, you don't have to go every day. I mean, you're only part-time. And she goes, well, what would I do with my time if I didn't have this to go do? And her impact is just really, really difficult to quantify. And yet I've been to so many families that go, oh, Jenny moved away. Oh, so she was absolutely kind of the poster child for doing something after you're 55 years old. I think she was 69 when I looked yesterday. I'm her same age, and that's when she started. When she started. When she finished, she was 83. And when she's moved to this new community in Dallas, she now has found her niche, and she goes and helps with the memory care at that unit.
It was so fun. I talked to her. She did move last summer, July, August sometime. And, it takes an adjustment. She kind of knew that was the best thing to do, to be closer to family. We talked several months later, and there was just a difference in her voice about, so how's it going? Oh, it's great. And it's like, I found my niche. Because they're different, she's in independent living, there's assisted living, memory care, and so on. So she's doing, in essence, a little bit different from what she did before. And the difference in her voice now that she was reconnected with that purpose. So, and a lot of you knew Jenny from First Presbyterian, and she used to come to our seminars years ago.
And not worrying about her house and when something would break and when the grass needed to mowed and the guy that didn't show up and all those kind of things. The relief off of her of having to manage her pieces of her life. She still manages her life. I don't think Jenny will ever be a person who doesn't manage her life.
Her son-in-law may try, but and that's a neat part too. In fact, some of others may pick up on that, but that's great. And it's fun to hear the stories, and you think, well, that's just a story, but I think you all can connect with a story. We just heard examples of that when people shared. Margot, what would you like to share about where you've seen seniors impacted by engaging in these purposeful activities?
I will say, and I've seen it for 20 years now, so many people, and this is not a pitch, this is from my heart, feel like they want to stay home. And I'm sharing my own personal story. My husband has started traveling all the time for his job, and I found myself, and I'm usually a very outgoing, engaged person, and I found myself over the past 2 months becoming more and more, I go home at 6 and I shut the door and it's quiet. And it started making me depressed because, I was with people during the day, but it really made me realize we are not supposed to be alone all the time. We need each other. A whole purpose of being in this life together is to help one another and to reach out to each other. You don't have to have a job. You don't have to I mean, I'll start crying. It literally, when I pull myself out of that and call a friend or the neighbor, I mean, there's always someone who also needs to connect. If we kind of change our mindset of just this is how life is now, that is not how life is supposed to be. So, and then I've seen it in our community over and over and over. Like, I literally could talk for hours about how someone didn't necessarily want to come to a community. They wanted to stay home.
Age in place.
Aging in place. And then when they came, the first week they were like, I don't really get involved. I don't want to. And I'm an introvert, and that's okay. And then within a few, I would even say 2 weeks, all of a sudden they're happier. They're meeting a person. Some people meet one person for lunch and dinner, and that sparks something. Other people found that inner something, and then they're so excited to be involved, and they're in activities, they're taking over projects, they're running everything. And it's just so amazing to see that when we truly connect with one another, amazing things happen.
And both sides kind of benefit.
Yes.
You benefit from the sharing, inviting someone in, and if you're the person being invited in,
Yes.
somebody cares about me, somebody knows I'm here. So celebration for sure. Okay, Mandy.
I, along with Margot, probably could sit up here and talk about so many different stories and ways that, not to do a pitch, but moving to a community is helped. But I'll speak from my parents, being on the other side of the fence of being the daughter and seeing, you know, my mother being a very active, independent woman, you know, always having 2 jobs and being an elementary music teacher and teaching piano lessons out of the house and raising us girls and doing all of this to then suddenly one day in her mid to late 70s had to stop driving. And then life changed. And at that time, the boys and I were living with my mom and dad because she had some health challenges. And I saw what life was. And at that time, we were the only entertainment. And all of a sudden, her connections to, you know, church and to, you know, doing things, life changed. You know, it changes for us all, and what stage of life we are. It also changes depending on where you live, you know, if you live out in the country versus, you know, living in town and things like that. But, you know, we talked about there's got to be more to life for you because she's used to helping people. And so they moved, and then seeing that dramatic difference of now running bunco groups and making connections and just, you know, other people that needed to just have somebody to talk to, just being there to be a listening ear. I mean, it just, the difference that it has made in her life, just the accessibility, I guess. It's just
So
wonderful.
again, and we're not putting down aging in place, and I know a lot of you, that is your goal, and that's great. You may want to think, when do I, you know, what are the qualities that, if I can remain in my own home, but not become a recluse. I've seen people over the years, you know, they were playing bridge and going to a fitness center or out and about, and one thing happens and another, and they're kind of closed in their home now. They still get together some. Over a period of time, I would see where the recliner became their world. And, you know, they weren't engaged, and in this case, they did. I was not involved in their move, kids were, anyway. And then I saw that particular person at a community going down the hall. Granted, she had a walker, but I'm going, oh my goodness, her world is no longer her recliner or even isolated in her house. She was going to engage in activities, whether it be a meal or, you know, a puzzle. Oh, and I'm going to ask Josie to share a story a little bit later about puzzles. But those whole things of being engaged. Well, you all just kind of answered a bunch of my questions in one. You messed up my script for the day. Okay. So what I think I'm going to skip, and then we'll let you all add in. You've talked about the importance of social connections. So, Penny, I know you had written out a lot of notes when we talked yesterday. Share some of your, and the neat thing about having Penny with us too, she's not from one of those communities. Oh, but if you at least say the word communities, that's better than another word. So, it's not from one of those communities with all those old people. We'll come back and address that subject in a minute, but you represent the broader world in some ways. What wisdom do you have on your note page there that you want to skip around to?
Okay, so we're doing number 2.
If you want to, whatever
right.
you want to speak about.
Well, I have a lot of energy. One of my passions is mind, body,
Keep in
spirit,
mind.
health. Mind, body, spirit, health. And, you know, about 8-9 months ago, I have a Medscape, which is for professional medical people, and they came up with a huge article that every 71 days, there is a new breakthrough in medicine now in some area. And it is just a phenomenal time to see what's going on. And one of the big ones is how our minds and our gut health are making us how we are. The good news is that those two things are pretty changeable. Years ago when I was in nursing school, if your brain was a certain way, your brain was a certain way. Now they know about neuroplasticity, and that you, at any age, period, any age, you can change how you see things, how your mind is working. It is absolutely amazing. And also what they're seeing, and of course I'm not going to go into that because every magazine at the checkout store talks about all the things you should be doing to live a long life. And so those, the Mediterranean diet or this diet or, and exercise, you should have 150 minutes a week. And when you break that down, it's not too bad. But anyhow, 150 minutes a week, I looked at that and thought, whoa, I don't think I could do that. That's 150. So think of it as more like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. But anyhow, I'm sorry. I love this, so you can see me have this passion. But one of the things that came out just this past week was that your anterior mid-cingulate cortex.
There will be a test afterwards.
That's right. I hope you're taking notes. It will be on the final at the end of the semester. Anyhow, this is my excitement. You just have to live with this. But anyhow, they noticed that part of our brain gets larger when we do things that are hard for us, when we do things that we really don't want to do. And it can be anything. It can be going and see your third cousin that you just as soon, not ever see again in your life. It can be going, I really don't want to walk, but I guess, the doctor says and it actually makes that part of your brain expand. And those people who sit in their recliners all the time, it's shrinking all the time. And what they're seeing with longevity and quality of longevity is that part of your brain stays relatively large if you keep being engaged with people, having social interactions, if you keep eating right, even though you don't want to eat that, whatever it is. If you exercise daily, if you socialize, if you do things that keep your mind active, going to see movies, museums, read books, listen to podcasts, mess around with the computer, even though that's one of the hard things. I know my anterior is growing because every time I look at that computer and think, really, they changed that? I've got to learn that again. I'm going to go, yes, this is good. So that's just a few things that you probably don't. Oh, this is one that I really loved. Take care of your appearance. It sounds, prideful or whatever. And actually, they're showing that when you have the desire to do that, it helps on so many levels. And also, if you need hearing aids, go get your hearing checked. If you need hearing aids, that maintains the quality of your brain and consequently the way your body works. And also, teeth affects your heart. Keep those, choppers going well. There was one more. I don't see it, so I pass.
You'll find. So I wanted a couple things, but I loved your comment about the hearing aids. When so many people, I don't want a hearing aid. Hey, guess what? So now you have new motivation. If it's kind of that marginal, you may, well, if that's going to improve me overall, besides being able to carry on a conversation with people, which your neighbors and friends would appreciate your, doing this. So it's going to stimulate our mental. Anyway, keep us going. The other thing, Penny is such a natural person to demonstrate the power of learning and growing and taking in new information. There are times when want to do something, and it would be easier to call Brielle. It would be easier to have Brielle come do it for me on my computer, but I'm trying to wean myself and force myself to watch YouTubes or read something so I can figure it out. Sure does take a long time, but yes, I figured out a better way to get those pictures from my phone to my computer. Yes. So little things, okay. But that importance of growing. I remember years ago there was a cartoon, not a cartoon, but a graphic thing, of like a tombstone, and it had a name. I think it was like dead at 35, buried at 65. For those people that we just shut down and go through routines and don't challenge ourselves to keep us growing. So,
I'm sorry, I would be amiss if I didn't also mention the very extreme importance of having some kind of spiritual life, connection with a church, meditation, just sitting in the morning or the afternoon or whenever stress is a huge one to cause us to decline, to breathe, all that kind of thing. Okay.
That was excellent.
that was back to one of the things in Blue Zone about just the importance of, and people, whether or not you're they talk about a faith-based community, a small, intimate group of people. We're not going to get into whatever denomination or whatever, but something that challenges you and brings you peace is, I think, a large part of that. Well, we've kind of messed up our script now, but that's okay. So, Margot, what other words of wisdom do you want to share? We're skipping around.
Oh, I just wanted to, I was thinking about a challenge for everyone, and I know you've heard this before, but every day to try to smile at a stranger and ask how their day is. And you'd be surprised what it does for you and what it does for them in a profound way. And it's such a simple thing, but we get so busy in life rushing to the very next thing that we need to check off the box and to slow down enough to truly reach out to each other. I agree with you where I feel like that is a God thing, however you see God, but it works magic.
Great, just that interaction. And it does make you feel special. Or someone comments about, wow, just so we can bring joy, give joy, benefit both sides as always. Mandy, what do you want to add on this?
And I think just living with purpose, it doesn't have to be anything huge, just like Margaret was saying. It's just giving a smile or acting on something, like just even giving somebody a phone call to say, hey, I was thinking of you. That alone, to me, is so purposeful because so many people feel alone. And just, doing those simple acts of kindness is so purposeful and useful and needed.
Share that. I just have to share, my husband's aunt was 90 years old, and she would consistently send a note card to each of her nieces and nephews, in-laws. And it sounds like such a little thing, but we don't really get mail anymore. So many people just get bills and all that stuff. So when you get a real note, oh my goodness, and it brought her joy, but it sure brought others joy. So I just wanted to share that.
That's great. One of you are kind of inferred that it's not something elaborate. It's the simple things sometimes that and as I can see people out here kind of as they're sharing stories, as you're nodding, I bet some of you are saying, I'm doing a lot more good things than I thought about. So all of that kind of goes together. I wanted to skip down to one that I did have here. Now that I've said it's the simple things. But I also know a lot of us volunteer. And that's one of the really neat things, well, I guess every community, but I think Georgetown seems exceptionally strong. We do have a large population of retirees who are able to give time. And that's just so amazing. A lot of opportunities, Brielle and I were checking with some to see what other ones. We do have a list of volunteer opportunities in your handout. So a lot of them are through churches. So like Meals on Wheels, Backpack Buddies, some of the things through Georgetown Project, most of those church groups go do. And, but we're going to hear from Faith in Action about other volunteer possibilities in a minute. We talked about also, well, we'll say that one. Okay, if some of you need a minute to think about this. If you volunteer, you might be in some of these structured programs that we talked about, like Faith in Action or helping with Meals on Wheels or any of that, or mowing lawns at churches, which maybe some of you should pass on to other people, but if it gives you delight and purpose. So, and some of you volunteer in less structured ways. You volunteer to take your neighbor to appointments or to check on your neighbor. I'm going to see, okay, how many of you say you volunteer structured programs or more free-flowing programs? Linda, you just got drafted to volunteer with your lunch bunch group. Okay, all right, good. You two volunteer all the time at your church. Okay, all right. I want you to affirm yourselves as we plan this seminar today. We say again, we're speaking to the choir often, but I want you to celebrate what you do to enhance your life and to enhance the life of others. Now, we also want to challenge you to affirm those things and maybe think of some new things. Okay. Any suggestions when people say, well, I don't know. I need something to do. I don't know what I want to do. Anybody want to tackle that one? Margot
I
does.
can speak from our community. We do have people that come in just because they want to give back. So we have some people that put on a happy hour, and they hand out alcohol and talk to people.
Okay, that got the attention. Okay.
It's not a wild thing, but she just enjoys. She volunteered once, and then she came back another month later, and now she comes 3 times a week and loves it, and the residents love her. And she started doing arts and crafts, and so there are so many things that we don't really even think of that always helps. I will say in our community, even someone who's super quiet, they will come. I've seen this many times. They'll say, I noticed that this gentleman is so quiet. I'm going to have lunch with him every day. And that is their purpose. They go knock on the door and they bring him to lunch. And it has made a world of difference. And then I had that same thing reverse where a gentleman chose to knock on the door of a woman, and now they're dating.
Wow.
Isn't that cute? And he was just going to pull her out to get a little more involved, and now they're totally in love.
Involved.
It's so sweet.
You never know what might happen. Anybody else want to tackle that one? I want to say one thing about the helping other people. In fact, she's been one of our, been an attendee and on our panel. In fact, she may have been to when she was here. Pat Sykes is a cat lover. She had a cat. Miss Kitty passed away. It was a family member she lost. It was painful. But so now she doesn't want to take on another cat. But, she is a volunteer in her community to go check on people's cats. So if someone's going out of town or, should be in the hospital or something, that's her role. And it gives her life to do something like that. Mandy?
Well, and I think we all, like if we live in a community, say Sun City, and if you're driving and you're active, it's sometimes easy to find purpose. It's easy to get involved. But I think, it comes down to as we do get older and we may not be driving anymore, health comes challenges, like it's harder to find that purpose. And it's harder to volunteer, to get out, and to go places. And again, I always say, and my world is retirement community, so I go back to that because I always say retirement communities are like a mini Sun City. You don't have to drive. You know, you walk out your apartment and there's your neighbors and there's people there, and it's a community, and that's run by residents and run by staff. And I'm going to share a letter that was written, this was years ago, but it was one that always makes me cry. It's from a resident from
Keep your mic up.
it was from a resident from a previous community, and she was writing our executive director saying, you know, this is what she wrote. She goes, "I thank you humbly and deeply for your role in awarding the plaque, recognizing my role in establishing the resident council." So when she moved to the community, she was head of the wellness department on the resident council. She goes on to tell Becky, thank you, you know, it was her helping that made it successful. But then at the very end, she said, "Thank you again for your daily work to create an environment where we may age not only with grace and peace, but also with purpose and opportunities of service." And that's where, like with so many communities, they provide that service and provide those opportunities for purpose. And
That's
I
beautiful.
just love them.
Okay, I'm not even sure if I warned all of you. Here comes the elephant in the room question or comment. Okay, yeah, you know, I kind of think maybe I might want to give up some of my home ownership responsibilities and not worry about the lawn being mowed or the leaky faucet or the whatever. And I hear about those communities, but I don't want to go live with those old people. There are too many walkers and it's depressing. So I'm going to say the first thing is go visit a community. You're going to see something different. But, okay, well, what? I know they're not going to tell you that. They tell me that. Oh, yeah. But, you know, any you do here too. All right, what I love is when people in communities are giving tours. There's some really good tours going on when they go, and they'll be showing, you know, potential future residents the activities, and, you know, they look at it and then, oh, well, no, I'm not ready, blah, blah, all the excuses that we give. And I love this one woman. I can just hear her muttering, "Yeah, but you're going to wait too long and you're going to miss out on all those activities." She won't tell the people that, although she may, now that I think about it. But anyway, so what about those? Now, you both are in communities that have independent living. You do have assisted living and memory care. So what about that? I don't want to go live with those old people. Mandy wants to start.
I'll tell a quick story on my father. He did not want to move. You know, he said, "I'm going to be one of those. I'm going to kick and scream, and I don't want to move." But when my mom had to stop driving, life changed, and then he was like, "Okay, well, I'll look at this." And he decided he had been wanting to get back into swimming because that was really good on his body. You know, just other exercises are hard for him. So he said, "Okay, well, you know, they have a pool, I can swim, you know, I can get back into exercising." So he agreed, "I'll move." So this is a few weeks ago. I'm like, I see my dad sitting out sunning after his water aerobic class, and I'm like, "Dad," I'm like, "what time is it?" And he's like, I'm like, "Are you going to go pick up Wilkes," which is my 12-year-old that my dad picks up every day from the bus.
Purpose?
So he's like, "It's 3:00. Oh no, I'm going to be late," you know, and he rushes to go get Wilkes, and he comes back into my office, and then he sits down. He goes, "I am so sorry." He goes, "Ever since we moved, I've just become so relaxed." Aww. And I was like, oh. I'm like, that's why y'all moved. And so just meaningful activities, the exercise has helped him just relax and not stress over the daily stuff of the house. And that has given him purpose.
Okay. Anybody else? Did you?
I was just going to say probably 40% of people who come and tour say that very thing. "Oh, they're so much older than me." And then they share how old they are. I'm like, no, we're all together. But I will tell you many, many times, someone comes in, they don't want to be there. And then, like, I had a gentleman who recently lost his wife and told me ahead of time, just so you know, I'm not an extrovert. You'll see me rarely. And I said, I totally understand. You can, and the nice thing is you can come and go all you want. It's total freedom. But he started playing the piano. He doesn't read music, but he is one of the most talented people I've ever met. And he started playing, and all of a sudden, 3 or 4 people are surrounding him. And then the next day, he stayed a little bit longer and a little bit longer, and it completely changed his outlook on life. He comes down now, loves to visit with people, and he truly, with his heart, wasn't going to be involved. And it just naturally happens. So it caused purpose. He loves to share his talent. So that was neat.
That's a great story, too.
I always say I worked in the emergency room for quite a few years, and one of the things that I noticed were there were people that would come in that were 30, 40 years old, and they were old. And there were people that came in 90, 95 years old, and they were young. So just like someone said out here, it is about attitude. And the people who do the best, even at 90, 95, recognize they don't think they're 20 years old. They recognize what they are made to do, what they were designed, I'm going to come right out and say, by God, to be at the age that they are and what their task is. And so to accept, it takes me a lot longer to remember names. It takes me a lot longer to get from one place to the other. Yes, I'm not safe to... And yes, I am looking at my life. I'm looking back over it and rethinking about different things that happened. And I see now that was this, that it was a growth period, or that person was who that person was. Why would I expect them to act differently and not wounded me? Those sort of things. And my job is to teach my children, the children, 70, 65, whatever. The children are technically seniors, and yet it teaches the children how to go forward through their lives. And there is always a reason, and you can always, if you choose, find it. I have a lady, this was many years ago, but she was bedbound. She had bilateral amputations, and for other health reasons, she did not get out of the bed, not by her choice, but because of that. And she would write those notes. She would call. She would call and just, how's it going? Telephone, great connection.
Just the stories here. And one of the things we've talked about during our seminars, that as seniors, when we talk about just our whole progression through life, there are really 2 developmental tasks that we're dealing with. One is staying in control, staying in charge of our lives. And, I will make my decision. My 40-year-old daughter doesn't need to tell me what I need to do. We want to be in control, so we want to have information. The other one is leaving a legacy. And helping we helped our children grow up through adolescence and all that. Now we're modeling what it is as seniors, to live fulfilled lives and to remember those stories and share. And that's so, we have wonderful stories. It's happened, our kids were home recently, and I remember when it used to be really popular through Kinko's to make calendars, and you'd put a picture on each month, and that back, I think, around mid-90s or so. So I had one I'd made. Somehow I can always make things too complicated. I wouldn't just put a picture for a month. I had to do a collage so that each month had a theme. It might be Boy Scouts and Campfire Girls, because that's what our family was involved in. And I'd put, intergenerational pictures, and if it was the birthday month. So it was for my parents. They didn't get their calendar in January because it was a big project. They got it in April. But if any of you know children's literature, Bird Baylor's book, I'm in charge of celebrations. So, April is a new springtime, so I told them that was the first month of their calendar we went through. But I had that calendar out, and my daughter was there, and then later my son was there. And it was so much fun to watch the kids look at that calendar. And, oh, I used to love when Granddad would do this with us. Oh, my. And, you know, so some of us who are struggling with all those boxes of photos, save some key ones to be catalysts for memories and sharing and all. Okay, I know we deviated from what we talked about, but we got it. We also want to talk more about opportunities, but I want to ask you, no, you all stay right here. We're going to let you all be the conclusion for that. I want to highlight, and we have special guests today. I'm going to ask from Faith in Action, Alexa, okay. She's going to come share with us briefly, and then I'll get Bob Staten. You want to come over here, and you can use that mic, Alexa? Or here, you can just use one of these. That might be easier. There you go.
Perfect. Good morning, everyone. My name is Alexis. I am the program coordinator at Faith in Action. And if you haven't heard of us, we are a nonprofit here in Georgetown, and we provide transportation for people 65 and older who either no longer drive themselves or just not comfortable driving out of their, safe comfort zone. And we do this with the help of our volunteer drivers. So it's a super flexible volunteer opportunity. Even if you're not comfortable, driving outside of Georgetown, you really get to pick when you drive, who you drive, and where you go. So it's, like I said, a really flexible opportunity. When you come through orientation with me, it's you'll have access to our system, so you'll log on and really just pick the rides that fit best for your schedule. Whether you help, 3 times a week or once a month, it's a really fulfilling opportunity that you really help someone stay independent and remain in their home. Another program that we created it during COVID. It's called our Buddy Program. It was really, made to keep people connected with other people in their communities. We were pretty isolated at the time, so we partnered volunteers up with clients, and they just kind of called each other a couple times a week just to check in and see how they're doing. We also did online grocery assistance. So that program is definitely still around if, maybe you just aren't comfortable driving other people in your car. There's other opportunities for you at Faith in Action. It's currently being revamped. I will say it's not as popular as it once was, so we're kind of in the process of changing a few things and adding some other opportunities into that specific program. So if it's something you're interested in, whether driving or being a buddy or just want to learn about other opportunities with Faith in Action, you can definitely come get some information from my table before you head out, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
So we've got 2 sides to that part. We can volunteer, or if we should need some of those services, this is one of those we need to know about.
Yes, and I will say if you or someone that is in need of services, what a lot of people don't know is you do have to become an enrolled client with us to be able to utilize services. So you can't just initially call us up and say, hey, I need a ride. You'll want to get put on our list, and we come out and do a little bit of paperwork with you and just kind of tell you how the program works. And then once you are officially a client with us, then you can utilize us once a week for however you want to utilize it, whether it's a medical appointment, you need to run some errands, or you just want to go shopping. We are happy to do that. And then in addition to that, on the services side, we do have a van program as well that does group grocery shopping 3 times a week. So we head to H-E-B and Walmart. And then on Thursdays is kind of a different activity, whether it is, we typically go to lunch once a month for a group outing. We go to the Caring Place once a month for people that need to utilize the food pantry there, or just like to go shopping at the thrift store. And then, we go shopping. We do all kinds of fun things. I'm actually in the process. Once a month, I've been hosting some type of client class as well, whether it's educational or something fun. We've done several art classes. We've done a chair fit yoga class. And then we've also had, the fire departments coming out next month to talk about fall prevention. And we've had the police department come out and do fraud and scam prevention. And all of this is free. So it's free to anyone who wants to join. And we are just trying to be a resource out there for people that need us.
That's great. Thank you, Alexis. Appreciate that. So faith in action, it is much more than just driving, although that is very critical. But there are other ways to serve or to benefit. So that Robert Staten, you want to share with us from Georgetown Parks and Rec, lots of programs. I want to know, we have, I don't see some of the people I thought I might see. How many of you, I hope we have some, participate in Silver Sneakers? Yay, yay. Okay. Yes. So there's your introduction for one of your very successful senior programs, but you've got a lot.
Thank you. My name is Robert Staten. I am the recreation specialist for adult and senior adult programs at the Recreation Center. The Recreation Center is a full-blown fitness facility. We have a heated indoor pool, a walking, jogging track, weight room, cardio equipment, classes, many classes. The Silver Sneakers classes being probably the most attended. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we typically have 70 people in the class, and that means every chair is full. Some other senior programs that we have water aerobics. We do a day trip once a month. Drawing a blank. Some of y'all help me out.
Are you
Hi,
still doing or maybe that was your day trip. You used to do, I thought, an extreme sports or...
We do have a senior adventure program also. Looking at the fall scheduling, we're adding a couple new things. The most popular ones are hiking and kayaking. We're going to be adding indoor skydiving and zip lining and fishing trips. We're going to offer 3 fishing trips in October. There'll be about a 6-hour program. We'll go to a state park or some public place. We'll fish for a little bit. And then for those of you that know me and go on the trips and stuff like that, we always go out to eat. We always go out to eat. I have found value, especially with the seniors, in friendships. My wife is an old soul, and when she was working at the hospital, she only worked 2 days a week. So she was there in the middle of the morning watching her show while she did her cardio, and she got to be friends with older people that come at the same time. One year for Christmas, all she wanted to do was go to lunch with about 3 different couples. And so I arranged that. We used to do a meeting for our day trips, which we don't do anymore, but I found the value in getting together more often was so good that we started doing a luncheon, a meet and eat. I sent an email out where we're going to meet, what time, and people come and buy their own lunch, and they've told me every time, they've said, you don't know how much I appreciate this. So getting out and getting involved, meeting new people. There is an individual here that I've known for a very long time. I was talking to her this morning. She said, friendships are very important. You can have acquaintances. Those are people you can call and you can talk to. But a friend is somebody who will be there when you need them. You can call them and they will come. And, so whether it's at the rec center or wherever it is, I would encourage you to get involved, meet some new people, and make some new friends.
Great. Lots of opportunities. And for sure, for those of you in Sun City, you can certainly participate in the rec center. You have your own Team Jillian activities there, but you got to go to them. You got to participate. So, or you can walk down the hall. at a community. Okay, so let's see. Then we have, and I'm going to let you all visit with these other two. I know that visiting angels, for some people who say, well, I want to work, I can, and fine. And with Comfort Care, I think a lot of their people are seniors who are serving other seniors. So visit at those tables to learn about those opportunities. Okay, let's see. Now, well, I'm going to save this. Brielle, don't worry, we're going to do this page. Anything else that I was supposed to do that I haven't done yet? Okay, thank you. Okay, to get a thumbs up from her, yes. Okay, any new great words of wisdom that you haven't had a chance to share that you're burning to share? Anybody want to speak up? Boy, that put you on the spot.
Storyworth.
What's
Anybody?
that?
Storyworth. Anybody heard of that before?
No.
Well, cool. I love telling new stuff. So this is computer-based, and you can give it as a gift. Your kids can give it as a gift. You get the call like in November. Hey, what do you want for Christmas? The reason they're asking is because if we want something, we go get it, and we don't really need any more stuff and all that. Storyworth is a computer-based thing that you sign up, and every single, I'm not sure if it's day or week, or you may be able to choose which one, but they send a question that you write about. I don't use the word journal because I hate that word. I've had numerous people tell me, oh, you should journal, and I'm going, oh, maybe that's what's making my...
I love
I should make my
Penny's
brain...
honesty.
Yeah,
Here. Thank
yeah,
you. I can
so-
identify.
But maybe it'll make my, frontal seal. Anyhow, so great thing, and statistic, I'm one of this statistic stuff. Reading and writing can reduce mental decline by 32%.
Wow.
And the great thing is, at the end, not the end of your life, but when you ever call it the end, they put it into a book and give it to you. Well, not give it to you. I'm sure that's not giving. But anyhow, you receive one that you can pass on to your kids and your grandkids, and they can pass on, and it will be so valuable going forward. The other thing...
Okay, I want to make sure, and Brielle, we'll put this in our follow-up, so it is...
Storyworth.
Storyworth. Okay.
Two separate words. Storyworth. 2 words, yeah. If you Google Storyworth, that's the first thing that comes up on Google or... Yes?
You want to use the mic so we can hear you? Brielle will protect you.
I can make a loud voice, though. My daughter gave me Storyworth for Mother's Day 2 years ago, and the prompts came monthly.
Okay.
And I had a hard time keeping up with monthly. So when my year was up of prompts, because it was a year's worth of prompts, I panicked. I thought, I haven't finished. I haven't published. It's going to go away, and I'm going to lose it. And she wasted her money. So I called the company, and they said, oh, no. You have as much time as you want. Your prompts are gone, but, you can continue writing. And I also found that, if I didn't like a prompt, I could change it, and I could write whatever I wanted. Or if the prompt made me think of something else that was more important to my life. And then I found out you can also put pictures in it, and you can make this personal history that you can leave for your children and your grandchildren. And I thought, that's a pretty neat thing. So 2 years later, I'm still working on it, like my photos and everything else. But you have time. You don't have to feel panicked about it. I wanted to add that. It is a pretty neat thing. A friend of mine in a Sunday school class had done it, and she told me about it 2 years ago. So when I got that call, what do you want for Mother's Day? I said, Storyworth.
Wow, neat sharing and testimonial there, too. Anybody else know about or use Storyworth? There's, okay. All right, so we've got some others. Some of it, okay, what's that? Okay. All right. So her sister was using it and would ask for contributions to fill it in. What a neat, you've gotten me excited about trying to do it. I remember when my kids were back in, we used to call it middle school, or, And one of their assignments was to interview grandparents. Probably a lot of you either did that or had, grandkids interview you. And my parents have both passed away now. But what a treasure those tapes were, and even then what we did for their birth, especially my dad. Somehow we slipped and didn't get as much for my mother, but we transcribed several of those stories for his 90th birthday to make it into a booklet. And I'm not nearly as sophisticated as what you're talking about, but it was fun for the kids to share that and hear more of the stories. By the time we gave it to my dad, it was, maybe he may have been a little bit older than 90, but to watch the smile on his face when he would see that story, because he didn't know what we had put in there. But, there's, you have all those interesting family stories that you don't really want to share at the time, but now, 50 or 70 years later, they can be kind of funny. So, and that's back to our legacy, too. Okay, so thank you for that. Now, other words, kind of, that was great. Okay?
I would just say no matter at what age, we have to get out of our comfort zone. When we get out of our comfort zone, try something new, it creates so many other feelings. But then when I was researching this, one of the questions came up is, what does living with purpose mean to you? So ask yourself that, what does living with purpose mean for you? And everybody's will be different.
Virginia, I wanted to add to, coming from over here, I know. So yes, we will send that follow-up email, and I'll include StoryWorth in there, but there will also be some articles. So for those of you who are really research-oriented, you like statistics, you want to see the graphs, this is real science that purpose increases your longevity. And that's where I took my deep dive into this is, the one quote, a life with purpose is a life with purpose. That's how you live. But I wanted to see the data. And so we will be sending you some links to some medical articles that really, we couldn't print them all out and put them in your packets. But I think it's important to understand it's not just like this fluffy thing that we're up here saying, oh, live this wonderful, carefree life. There's true data behind getting up and living your life with true purpose each day. And it might be something small and it might be something bigger, but there's real science behind it.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. So that will be coming. But picking up on that, especially going back to what Mandy said about get out of your comfort zone and do it. All right, I'm taking another risk here, folks. We always have action steps where we encourage you to, like register for the next seminar or to go do some follow-up. Today we're going to take that a little further. In your packet, there is a page, Living with Purpose Planning Sheet. Just as we were saying about taking action and what Mandy was saying there, I want us, this is going to be scary, but we can do it. We identified, and Bria was great in putting this together for us, some things to get us going. What's that spark? What's important to you? I saw people when we talked about family stories. Some people, I could connect with that. Or, I didn't think I could be a buddy to call people. So we put this together. On the left side, you'll see different categories of rediscover old passions. What sparks your joy and sense of purpose? Learn something new. I might want to, again, I've decided I need to learn about world soccer. My grandsons are so into soccer, but it's great because then you learn geography and, so we have to, Don and I are working on upping our knowledge about soccer so we can understand what the boys are saying. Give back to your community. We heard great examples and there are many more. Stay connected. What are ways? So you can think about and affirm things you're already doing. But we're going to take just a short time here for you to fill in some of these. Okay, this is great, but then what do I have to do? What would be my action step? I might need to pick up the phone and call Faith in Action and see about signing up. I might need to visit the rec center, go online and find out about those day trips, or get ready to go do my water aerobics, or on and on and on. Oh, clever, clever. Mandy said,
But still, yeah.
Ma- when we say have information and be informed, Mandy said for some of you, you might say, well, you know, I want to just go look. You know, oh, here's the safe part. You're not looking for yourself. I want this information for my neighbor. So if that makes you feel safe.
And that's totally fine.
So, you know, no, I'm not going to go move there, but my neighbor wanted, she needs to, he needs to. We will, in the fall, I think, we'll do community tours again too. But thanks for mentioning that. You know, something new. Okay, so here we go. We're going to be very brave and take about 3 minutes. And so you need your paper and you need a pen. If you don't have a pen, we will bring you one of the Alzheimer's pens, or we have pens too. But you are going to be brave. For some of you, it's pushing you out of your comfort zone to make some notes on here. So 3 minutes, you can start that TikTok music. So I'm going to let you all stay here because I forgot to thank you. Okay, let's see if anybody wants to just share something that came to your mind, and we're going to share another resource about stories in just a minute. Anybody, did this spark something with you? Say, yeah, this is something I can do. This is important to me. Any brave souls? Okay, there's a brave soul. Oh, Bria, you want to bring a mic over?
So my newest thing is that I'm going to get out from underneath cable TV. Woohoo! So I've had Dish, and of course it was all set up by my husband, who I don't have anymore. So, and the price went up from, I think we started out with something like $68, then it went up to 120 something, and now it's at 181. And I went, okay, I'm done. And there's so much available. And so I have a smart TV, and so I'm learning about smart TVs. And I am transitioning out of this beast. And everything I watch is really pretty much on YouTube anyway.
That's neat. Yeah.
Very exciting.
So you're being in charge of your life and not just
Proactive.
taking what comes in. So
Exactly.
if someone wants to hear a personal story about smart TV and that you can learn to use it and do it.
Yeah, I already got part of it done. I
Okay.
dropped it from 2 of the guest rooms, so I know kind of what to do. And now by the end of the month, I'll be rid of that big bill.
Good
Yeah.
for,
That's
good for her.
inspiring.
That's a great story. Anybody? Okay.
YouTube TV, and you can get the regular news and everything else on the live channel.
Wow.
So it's like, how much did it get down to?
So lots of resources here. Okay, that's great. We'll save money. We won't hear all the other stuff. So good resources there. Would you mention what you talked about, the stories?
Okay, you get to hear from me again. If you have self-discipline, you don't need StoryWorth. I'm not trying to discourage you from buying it, but you can write your own stories and you can publish your own stories and have a book for your family, and you can add pictures if you want to. But like I said, you do need the self-discipline, but you go through Kindle Direct Publishing at Amazon, and you can actually have them sold online, and your other family members can buy them. The good news is you get to buy it at your cost, and they can pay you and make some money for you too. But it's kdp.amazon.com. Just experiment with it. It's free.
KDP?
K for Kindle,
Oh.
D for Direct, and P for Publishing. kdp.amazon.com.
All right. There's another great resource. Leaving a legacy, sharing our stories, and it's so much. Someone says, "Oh, I don't want to do it on a computer," but it's so easy because you can edit easily then, or whatever. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. I'm going to add Penny. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yes. Excuse me.
Okay, I'm going to backtrack here a little bit, talking about visiting assisted living or senior living communities with the mindset of, I'm too young, but so what I found out about is that a lot of these facilities have what they call staycations. So because my husband and I are extremely open-minded, knowing that we're not yet ready for any of this, but there will come a time when we will be ready. So we decided that we would make it our business to go and start visiting some of these kind of... How many of you are familiar with the Oaks? I'm talking about those kind of facilities. The Oaks on Williams or Maple Ridge in Cedar Park. Okay, wonderful facilities, okay. Haven't been to Delaney, have been to Oscar's, kind of out of my price range, but I know that because I've been there already and checked it out. At any rate, we have stayed now at 2 staycations at these kinds of facilities like the Oaks, and went in with the idea, we're just gonna look around, enjoy their food, you get to sleep over 2 nights, 3 days, use whatever facilities they have, engage in whatever activities they have. Okay, yeah, they got all the walkers lined up on the wall at lunchtime and dinner time, but guess what we learned? Number 1, we had a great time. The biggest one is we're all people. We're all in this together. We're all aging. Everybody has their story, and all of a sudden, the people sitting at our table, they weren't 80 or 70 or 60, they were ageless, okay? I wanted to share that because it was an eye-opener for us, and what it did for us, it's like, oh, we would definitely love to do something like this, especially because they had 24-hour soft serve ice cream.
Ah, there you go. So the importance of experiencing, if you can do a staycation, Delaney and Oscar have those as well as others, so that's great. One of the things when we do our tours, it's neat because our arrangement with the communities is that residents take us on the tours. so you get to hear the kind of inside story from residents there. One of the things, and we often do refer to these as facilities, and within the senior industry, those of us working in this area, we really, they're communities. It's a group of people living together. Facilities can have kind of a negative connotation, and I know that's what we've called. But so as we think, I want to visit the communities, it brings a different kind of feel about it. So just something to consider. Okay. Any other words of ideas here? Penny I want you to share a couple of your quotes because
Okay.
I like them.
Of course, I was really excited about getting to meet all of you because I'll learn more from you than you'll ever learn from me. And so I love this quote from Joseph Campbell. Life is a wonderful, wonderful opera, except it hurts. Where do you put your focus? On the pain and the fears or the beauty and the gratitude? And then the last one, recognize your stage of life. I kind of talked about this earlier, but to review, reflect, and even rewrite your views of some life experiences. Leave a legacy, learn to be loved for not doing, but being, which speaks to what you just said, ageless. We are the sum of the total of our influences, how we make others feel.
And we've seen such wonderful stories about that. We share and we benefit. So I want to thank our panelists for being with us today. We'll give them a round of applause here, so thank you. And they'll be over at tables, so if you want to visit more. And our extra guest with Visiting Angels and Georgetown Parks and Rec senior programs will be over there. So I'll let the educational partners and our special guests and our panelists migrate over that way. I want to thank everybody. I want to give a special thanks to Brielle for all of her work to make the seminars go smoothly. And then we will see you in July. This month was a week late, and then the July comes really fast, so it won't be that long until we see you again to talk about real estate. And if you hear, real estate's a really popular topic this year. Lots of misinformation out there because of the supposedly litigation with the National Association of Realtors. So we will be sharing and getting to what it really means for you as consumers. Thanks for being here, and we'll hope to see you next month.